Hello, Lacey. How you doing? Okay. Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm a total perfectionist. I think most designers are. I really do. I think it's kind of a common personality trait that we find in designers because I know I can't go to sleep at night until whatever I'm working on is kind of near perfect. So I totally get what you're saying here. Let's jump over to your work. This is fantastic. I mean, I'm really impressed. I think the engagement that you've had, and the amount is just really very dedicated to this project, and it very much shows in the work. Very consistent. I mean, to me, I think one of the most impressive things, and I may have said this last week, but to me, one of the most impressive things is the actual axis of the letters and the consistency therein. So each one kind of follows the exact same angle, and that, Lacey, is one of the most difficult things for beginning type designers to understand, is that harmony is created through the appearance of the typeface, which quite often resides on the axis of each individual letter form. So I think you picked up on that very early in the project, and I think you pretty much ran with it. So that's fantastic. Okay, let's go through. So this is great, right? And the reason we do this, so the reason that we assign words, just kind of random words. In this particular case, we decided to assign words the descriptive words, using the typeface. And the reason we do that is so that we can see letter combinations that we didn't see in the alphabet, of course, and in the title that we had developed, both uppercase and lowercase. So really, it's all about looking at letter combinations to try to find things that you didn't see before. And I have found a few things, and I'll be glad to share those. But for the most part, I think you've done a fantastic job. So what I'm seeing is this: is I'm seeing the bottom of the two to me right there, and I'll zoom in on this so you can see. But the bottom of the two, okay, so the stroke on the 1, 2, and the 7, I think, is thicker than the other letter form. So we've got some inconsistency there. You can clearly see it right there. That's pretty thick right through there. This is pretty thick right through the bottom of the vertical. This vertical portion of the 1, I think that's a little too thick. Also, that the baseline a little too thick through here, a little thick through here. Other than that, letter forms look fantastic. I'm also, I think this is a little bit too drastic right here. And the reason that I say that, and again, this alludes to what I was saying before, is looking at different letter combinations. So suppose where was I? Oh, I was talking about the 4, right? So let's say, let me see how, okay, let's say you wanted to present them, or you wanted to typeset the number 34. This big swash right here on this side of the 4 is going to preclude any kind of effective kerning between the 3 and the 4. So in other words, this area right here, this big open space right here, that's as close as you can get that 3 to the 4. Otherwise, you're going to have overlapping with that swash and the upper part of the 3, right? And we don't want that. For that reason, I want you to start setting numeric combinations to see if that's going to be a problem. I think it is. I think you're going to have to address that. Then do the same thing with all your other letter forms. Look for areas that could be problematic to the neighboring letters themselves, okay? And what you're looking for is kerning in that you don't want to preclude yourself from being able to kern tightly because elements of the letters are touching or overlapping. Okay, that's the best way to put that. Okay, let's jump over here in the Handmaid's Tale. Now, I noticed something here that I had not seen before, and we're going to zoom in right here, and this is in the all caps, okay? The all caps, I think, well, first of all, I want to say that it looks much better in title case with lowercase letters. I think that's really super obvious. But right now I'm looking at Handmaid's Tale, and I'm looking at Handmaids in the upper case, and we can see another issue, a couple of issues. So let's look at that cap A, and you see with that big swash over there, that cap A is going to preclude any kind of kerning right here, because as we can see, we can't get that N any closer, much closer to the A because of that big swash right there. It's going to preclude. Okay, so for example, if you had AD letter combination, this and this are definitely going to intersect there somewhere, and that's not a good thing. So you want to address that. The next thing I see is the cap I. The cap I, I'm going to zoom out a little bit and I'll show you what I see. I'm sure you'll agree with me. But the cap I almost looks like it's an E that doesn't have that horizontal arm coming off. So that is a really uncomfortable tension created by that uppercase I. I would definitely adjust that. Okay, so those are a couple of things that I have found. And what I want you to do from here is I want you to do exactly what I've done. Zoom in, start placing letters next to each other, looking for issues based on those swashes, ascenders, descenders, etc., and how they may potentially overlap when kerning tightly to other letter combinations. And I want you to get in there and take your zoom tool and get right on top of those letter forms and really, really try to determine, what needs to be adjusted. So at this point, I'm going to say that I'm basically done critiquing the letter forms themselves. So I want you to take over from here. So in other words, I want you to find inconsistencies, and I really want you to address them, and then just make a note of what you've done. Okay. So anyway, so this is really, really fantastic work so far, but those are my recommendations moving forward. All right. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. All right. Thanks, Lacey.